I live in Buffalo. 30 miles east of here is a place we call Alabama Swamp. It's the biggest wetland in New York State. It includes the Iroquois National Wildlife Refuge. It's the biggest federal wildlife refuge in New York State. And also living there is this Tonawanda Seneca Nation in the middle of all this other habitat, basically, that's been protected in some ways as such.
So you put this all together, and you get about 20,000 acres of wetland, grassland, forests, really high-quality habitat. One of the largest remaining contiguous habitat areas in the state, and certainly in western New York. What are the lands that should be protected in terms of providing spaces for biodiversity in the face of climate change? So, of course, corridors for movement are really important, as well as existing habitat. And you can see that the area that we've been discussing is resilient to climate change. It's also a grassland bird conservation center. We call this an important bird area. Well, birds, they know this. They kind of vote with their feet. They concentrate in these few remaining large contiguous areas of grasslands and wetlands and forests that we have here that have not been converted to industry or agriculture. This forest holds an exceptional number and diversity of birds. And if you have birds, it means you have the trees, you have the understory, you have the native plants. You don't have the invasive plants. You have the insects. Birds are sort of just an indicator of the outstanding habitat on nation lands.
And this particular traditional community, and they've got their big woods. It's, something that they have managed for centuries. An old growth forest, really, with a great diversity of plants and animals, medicine plants and animals that they hunt, but it regenerates continually.
If you look at the Tonawanda Seneca Nation, when we did our survey, found as many as 20 cerulean warblers just in one day on the nation. And that says a lot about the quality of the forest, right? Because those warblers need mature hardwood forests.
And they're putting this industrial campus next to it, 1,200 acre. We're tearing up all this wetland and all these forests and grasslands, endangered species habitat, known habitat, and for what? To make shovel-ready sites. We're going to develop on the basis of total speculation. Somebody's going to come and help us make a lot of money here. And not only, is it totally speculative, but it also erases that possibility of connection to Mother Earth and to what's here for future generations.
And this is important. It's not just the development we're concerned about is not just STAMP, but the idea is that this is kind of the center of a mini city, because with the industrial development will come housing, shopping centers, offices, all that support infrastructure to run the place. It's been called egregiously miscited. This is a quote from the New York Ornithological Association's letter. The granting the permit would set a dangerous precedent of sacrificing endangered and threatened species for industrial development. Well, that's exactly what they did, of course. In August, there were spills of the drilling fluid right into the refuge. Not just a few drops, but 500 to 700 gallons. There were more spills in September. And again, these were hazardous materials. Is this the place we want to put an industrial development with all this use by threatened, endangered, and birds that are struggling anyway?
And the county, the Economic Development Agency there, decided that that's where they wanted to put an industrial park. And they want to put this thing right on the edge of that land where people really have lived.
There's a huge environmental justice issue here around the Tonawanda Seneca Nation. In case you don't know what environmental justice is, at least one definition, these issues involve the siting of large industrial and commercial development adjacent to historically disempowered communities. So here's a classic case of an environmental justice violation with stamp sited right next to the nation. The Big Woods, which is used for hunting, gathering, and other purposes, not only by people at Tonawanda Seneca Nation, but throughout the Confederacy. People from Tuscarora, people from Akwesasne come to the Big Woods to hunt, to gather medicines. And of course, there's issues about impacts to air and water quality, noise and light pollution from having this thing next door. This is not just an environmental concern. This is a human rights issue. I saw, and I shared a little bit with you, the outstanding stewardship of the Tonawanda Seneca people on their land. As I said, they're doing their part, and we need to do ours. The 70 square mile treaty of big tree lands that was supposedly reserved for the Tonawanda Seneca people in 1797. Of course, Stamp falls well within that treaty, supposedly treaty-protected area. So is there a way to give that land back to the nation? I don't know. It's worth thinking about.